including humans, produce their own kinds, thus they all reproduce. It ensures continuance of their variety on this planet Earth, thus species continue from one generation to the next. Reproduction is a characteristic of all living beings like any other life process such as respiration, circulation and nutrition. For example, two slides are on your screen. One is depicting reproduction in animals through the life cycle of butterflies, and the other is depicting life cycle and reproduction in plants through the life cycle of apple plant. We now go to the list of objectives that are there in this particular lesson. After completing this lesson, you will be able to state the asexual and sexual reproduction as two different modes of reproduction, identify the different types of asexual reproduction in organisms, identify the sex organs and describe each part and their process, identify the changes in human body upon reaching puberty and emphasize importance of reproductive health and hygiene, identify the organs of reproduction in humans and relate the organs with their function, mention the reproductive events leading to pregnancy and parturition, express awareness of increase in population growth in the country and suggest methods of population control, understand modes of transmission and prevention of sexually transmitted diseases and HIV/AIDS, and utilize this information in making safe, informed choices. Friends, let us begin. Reproduction usually takes place either by asexual method or by sexual method. In asexual reproduction, a single parent may produce offsprings and it does not involve fusion of gametes or special male and female reproductive cells. It takes place in many ways in lower organisms like bacteria, protozoa and some algae. In higher plants, it is said to be vegetative propagation. On the other hand, when two individuals are involved, male and female, it is sexual reproduction. Here, fusion of male and female gametes give rise to a zygote, which makes the beginning of a new life. This is a more common method of reproduction in plants and animals. Types of asexual reproduction in lower organisms include a number of ways. Binary fission is first. Look at the diagram on your screen. It depicts the binary fission in amoeba. Amoeba is a unicellular organism. It elongates along with its nucleus. Nucleus divides into two, and finally the cell divides into two and the parent cell loses its identity. Next is by budding. Budding in yeast, which is again a unicellular organism, takes place by a projection formed at any one of the ends of the cell and followed by elongation of the nucleus, which is pinched off. One part of it goes into the bud and the other part remains in the parent cell. Here the parent cell continues to exist. In multicellular organism like Hydra, a projection from any part of the body may be formed as you follow the number of numerical numbers mentioned on your screen diagram. The bud increases in size, develops the parts of the organism, and when fully formed, it detaches from the parent plant. Our next example of asexual reproduction is by spore formation. In spore formation, the spores are usually unicellular units of reproduction. The parent cell divides into 4, 8 or many unicellular components, which upon release from the parent body grow into an independent organism. There is only mitotic division involved. So, each new daughter cell will be genetically similar to the parent cell. Besides Chlamydomonas, spore formation is also common among mosses, fungi, etc. The moss spore capsules are shown on the left side of the screen, and the right side shows the spore formation in the fern leaves. Asexual reproduction in plants are also known as vegetative propagation, as the vegetative parts of the plant such as root, stem and leaves are participating in reproduction. Friends, you must be remembering root, stem and leaves are the vegetative parts. They are They absorb the nutrients, they photosynthesize, grow and help in the development of the plant. So, when these plants take part in reproduction, we call it as vegetative mode of propagation. Root examples are shown by dahlia plants and by sweet potato. Stem vegetative propagation is shown by onion. You are all familiar with the new onion buds that sprout at the time of rainy season. Same with potato and ginger. Examples of leaves participating in reproduction are shown by bryophyllum and kalunchoi. Diagrams are clearly showing marginal buds at the tips of the leaves or on the margin of the bryophyllum leaves when in contact with the soil grow into new plants. These cues, these natural methods have been used by the farmers and nursery growers to multiply a desired plant using these methods, and we call it as artificial propagation. It is a rapid and less expensive method, and yet the new plants retain all the properties of the parent cell. They are thus an easier way and getting the similar type of plants at a faster rate. Examples here on your screen are that of cutting and layering. In cutting, you please follow the number given at the node in diagram A, B, C and D and observe that a stem cutting, we call it as a scion, is taken. This is an example of a sugarcane plant. You sow the scion up to node number 6 under soil, and in the C diagram observe the roots are coming out, and at the top the node number 7 is showing you new sprouts formed, whereas D diagram is showing where sprout has failed. In layering, the name itself tells you a lower branch is lowered, covered with mud or soil till such a time that roots germinate, and then we sever the plant from the branch from the main plant, and it becomes a new independent plant. This very method is modified in air layering, or we call it as gametes. In gametes, where the branch is not bendable, it is stiff grown tree branch, then the bark of the tree branch is removed, covered with moss plant, and is kept moist with the help of an overhanging pot of water which is connected to the moss covered portion through a rope or any connection. When the roots strike, it is this particular branch is severed from the plant body and sown as a new plant. Lastly, graft union. Here friends, we take a desired plant that we want to grow as the scion. There the scions and the lower portions are removed, and we take a stalk which is sturdy, strong, and its apical portions are removed. The wedge shaped sections of the stalk and the scion are joined, covered with polythene, and in no time new plantlets sprout and we get new plants of the variety we desire. Other methods of asexual reproductive propagation are where we are exploiting the natural ability of the plant cells to grow new organisms. Every living cell has the potentiality to grow and has the potentiality to grow and has the potentiality to grow and its own type, that is, they are totipotent, totally potential to give rise to another organism. Exploiting this natural property, scientists have successfully raised large number of offspring from a single cell or a small part of the plant. This is micropropagation or tissue culture. This method of growing small cells or tissues into a new organism have been mastered. Here is an example where a portion of the